I'm Kevin Rinke, and I'd like to welcome you to Beyond the Echo. I ran for governor in Michigan. After losing that election, my desire to look at issues that are important to the state or the country grew. There is so much static. There are so many opinions. Our news stations have gotten to the point where we don't know what news is anymore. Where do you go to get real facts? This is about real perspective for you. Beyond the Echo will cut through all the smoke, all the opinions. It's not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's about the issues and what are real. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Echo. Today's going to be maybe slightly different because I want to share with you an experience that I had, and it involves Tom Homan, who will be in charge of ICE. And immigration for all of America is a critical subject these days. I had the pleasure of having dinner with Tom, and we had an event after that dinner. But to discuss and to listen and to learn about immigration, and there's some things that I want to share with you. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you hear what I have to say, process it, and dig deeper, because this guy, in my view, is a rock star for America, for you, for me, for Michigan, and it's going to be very interesting to watch this unfold.
So, Tom Homan has stated he has plans to deport millions of undocumented immigrants. In Kevin Rinke's opinion, is his plan practical? And what kind of effects do you think it's going to have on immigrant families?
Well, I think that immigration is one thing, and because we have been being conditioned, we need to recognize that legal immigration is critical to the success of America. It's a process that needs to be followed, and it is the law. And if you believe in law and order, you have to follow the law or suffer consequences. Illegal immigration is something that is now threatened, really the foundation of what America stands for. And let's put some perspective into illegal immigration. Think of projections that say 50 million people illegally entered the United States in the last 4 years. And I didn't know until I was talking with Tom what the process is. We see pictures on Fox News or CNN about people walking over rivers and, Customs and Border Patrol trying to corral these people. We've heard about kids being separated from their parents, blah, blah, blah. And it is a complex issue. And let's think about it. Legal immigration requires vetting. Legal immigration, we know who you are, what you are, where you came from. There's health concerns. There's, your personal history, your educational history. All things that I think most Americans think are really important. And by the way, I think legal immigrants think are important. We have heard the term, people seeking asylum, and that's why we've allowed so many people in. So you show up at the border, you say, I'm seeking asylum. And in the conversation with Tom, he said that 86% of the aliens that try and cross in illegally say that they are seeking asylum. And when you put the filter on of what qualifies as asylum, less than 6% meet the criteria. So there's somebody over in Mexico, in Canada, wherever, that says, just say you're seeking asylum. Fill out the form. And what do you get? Well, you get fingerprinted, get vetted to a very small degree. But in the Biden administration, in today's world in America, you then get an airplane ticket to any city of your choice, usually. You then get free housing provided at the taxpayer's expense. You get food. You have states or cities that are attempting to say, wow, now that these people are here, we have to give them ID. But we're forgetting that they're here illegally and that there is a requirement as they are scheduled to have a court appearance that they show up. Most of those people don't show up. And that's one segment of it. Very complex. Very complex. America has the right to establish how many legal aliens we want to allow to come into the country each year. So that's one segment. Thought it was interesting. Now let's go to, in the last 4 years, the 2.2 million, and that's an estimate, people that paid cartels to come into the United States that weren't interested in being fingerprinted, that weren't interested in the free airplane ticket, the free accommodations, the free food, the, down the future date to be assimilated into this country. What would compel them to pay money? What would compel immigration, illegal immigration, to become such a huge business for the cartels? And is there anybody out there that thinks that of that 2.2 million, that some of those people have bad intent for our country? It's not just South Americans. Over 30,000 military-age Chinese have entered America illegally. A lot of people don't hear about that. Should we be concerned? If you're not, you're naive. This world is a dangerous place. There are Middle Eastern countries that have people that don't need asylum here, that hate America, that have come here. Okay? There are Middle Eastern countries that have people who have been persecuted that deserve a different status. And we need to understand and recognize that. But for me, following the rules are critical. And we need to get back to that versus allowing these people to overwhelm not only cities, but states in our country and the costs associated. There's another segment, though, that when we talk about illegal immigration, that we don't spend a lot of time thinking about. 500,000 unattended minors have crossed into America in the last 4 years under the Biden administration. What's so crazy is 340,000 of those children, the people that showed up, their sponsors, we have no information on. We don't know where they're at. 340,000 children that the people who came in to the immigration office and said, I'm here to take little Bobby or little Sally. They were not fingerprinted. They were not vetted. They were nothing. And you don't think that these children are being exploited? Some people want to cry about kids being separated from their families. What they don't talk about is the kids that are reunited with their families after they're vetted. the sex trafficking and the human trafficking that exists in America is at an epidemic level. And we need to find those 340,000 kids. And America is going to be shocked when we figure out how many are dead, how many have been raped, how many have been sold as slaves in America, how many are being abused right now today as we're talking about this. So immigration's an issue for all of us. And if you believe in family, if you believe in empathy, if you have a heart, it's way more complex than saying, oh, just let them come. And immigration and getting it under control is critical. Astounding to me that there were 500,000 and 340,000. We don't even know. And I'm proud to say that in our discussion, Tom said that he had three, major priorities in finding those children was one of the three. We owe that to those kids. That's American. And Donald Trump supports that. I support that. We need to recognize with immigration, because some people have accused Tom of being a hard ass. And I know I'm not supposed to swear, but it was funny in our conversation. The mayor of Chicago has gone out and publicly said, Tom Homan, he's not welcome in Illinois, and he sure as heck isn't welcome in Chicago. And Tom said to me, Kevin, when you wake up on the morning of January 21, I want you to turn on your TV and watch the film because I'm going to Chicago. And they call me a hard ass because I say that I'm willing to work with you if you're willing to work with me. And if you're not willing to work with me, I am going to enforce the laws of this country. And if you are an elected official and you instruct people who have access to illegal immigrants, you know what that is in America? It's a felony if you hide those people, if you help them get around our laws. Okay? I'm a law and order guy. And guess what? I hope Tom pursues enforcement of the law at the highest level because there's a lot of people out there with really big mouths and they want to throw the January 6 people who were protesting in jail, and they want to do this because they say they broke the law. At the same time, they're breaking the law. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And it's my belief in Tom Homan that we have somebody who doesn't give a rat's fanny about how you feel if you're breaking the law. It was sad, the event that I was at. They had death threats against the guy. We had to change the venue. The security that this man has to live under because he wants to enforce the laws in America. He's a hero. And he's committed. He has the tools to do the job. But more importantly, he has the courage to do the job. And I think Tom Homan is going to be fabulous. I think the left is going to scream. I think the news media is going to whine. But at the end of the day, I want everybody to understand Tom Homan is going to enforce the law of our land, of our country, of our states, of our Constitution, and those that break it aren't above it. No one's above the law. I think I've heard that
Yeah,
a lot over the
a little
last
bit,
4 years. Good luck.
Well, I mean, he's a far cry from our current Border Czar. And
Mayorkas should be thrown in jail.
yeah,
It's treasonous what he has done to this country, how he has ignored his responsibility, how he has crapped on our Constitution and the government agencies that were put in place to support what our Constitution and what our laws stand for. No love for that guy whatsoever.
yeah. It takes someone with his experience and disposition to do what needs to be done, but he's threatened to take action against sanctuary cities. Did he at all give you insight as to what kind of action is going to be taken against the cities that don't cooperate with the federal government?
Well, understand that that's a very generic statement, and understand that I've answered it. The city is required to follow the law. The whole concept of a sanctuary city, in essence, is disregarding the law. So, if you're a sanctuary city and you want to go up against Tom Homan, you know what? I'm going to find it entertaining. But don't be surprised. And by the way, this is not lawfare like we have seen. These are real laws that people are in complete understanding of. It's the 10th Amendment, if you're looking, and it describes the role of the federal government and the responsibility of local government and how it needs to interact with the federal government to protect our communities, our state, and our country. Tom Homan knows the law. He's going to enforce the law. If you break it, suffer the penalties. No one's above the law.
So you and I know, I mean, there's a lot of nuance between immigration and illegal immigration, which the liberal media refuses to point out. They want to make it look like conservatives are against immigration of all types.
Not at all. Yeah.
So what is the danger in the media failing to point out the nuance between immigration and illegal immigration? So, the media, the liberal media, continues to pour gasoline on the flames and getting people worked up again to think that Trump and his administration are against, and Homan included, and he's been under a lot of fire in the liberal media, that he again is against immigration. Again, you pointed out the nuance there and the understanding that we are, as conservatives, and Tom Homan is as conservative, for immigration, but legally. That word legal gets left out of that conversation a lot. But recently, he's been under a lot of criticism from ABC. The ladies of The View are saying that he is an authoritarian, that his policies are too authoritarian and inhumane. So, how would you address that? Again, I'd like you to address that, but as well as the danger of the liberal media continuing to say these things that just aren't true. Maybe it's a lack of understanding, or maybe there's an agenda. But get your take on that.
So, ABC attacking Tom Homan doesn't surprise me. Their approach to America is not my approach to America. And candidly, I don't spend a hell of a lot of time watching ABC.
You don't watch The View?
The ladies on The View make me gag. Make me gag. The fact that they call Tom Homan an authoritarian, just out of curiosity, what's wrong with the guy who wants to do his job and says he's going to do his job? Does that make you an authoritarian?
According to them.
I mean, this concept of being able to challenge every position in everyone, and if they talk about something that you don't like, that you deserve a quiet space, and that I think it was the ladies on The View that said if you have a family member that voted for Donald Trump, it's okay not to talk to that family member. Excuse me, frickin' stupid. What happened to you having a right to an opinion? What happened to constructive dialogue that allows people to learn from each other? Is Donald Trump right or appropriate 100% of the time? Absolutely not. And while I support Donald Trump, I will recognize that I don't think he's right or appropriate all the time. That's okay. Kevin Rinke isn't right or appropriate all the time. And yet when I speak with conviction because my perception is my reality. And the only way that I can change my reality is if people are willing to take the risk to share with me their perception and their reality. Now, if I hated everybody I disagreed with, I wouldn't have any friends. I actually like people to disagree with me civilly, constructively, to have spirited conversation. But there is more stupidity spewed by The View each day than I would care to have in my life. Utter stupidity.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I mean, they're one of them said that he is infringing on human rights with the way he's going to approach this. A lot of liberal commentators recently also have referred to him as extreme, his policies, as in quote, extreme and ineffective. What would you say to that?
Yeah, see, in America, our elected officials write the rules and the laws. And Tom Homan is not attempting to write the rules or the laws. He is attempting to enforce them. So, from my perspective, and you've heard me say it before on Beyond the Echo, if we've got bad laws, instead of writing more laws, we should be repealing the law. Tom Homan wanting to do his job is not a threat to anybody who follows the law. It was very interesting because there are many, many different statuses for people that come into this country. It's not just I'm here as a illegal alien trying to live in America. Some groups have been granted various exceptions by President Biden. Some were granted by President Trump. We have seen it. It's not uncommon. I didn't know it. Willing to say I didn't know it. But where I'm going with this is we have to follow the law. And if the law on immigration is bad, and what I find interesting is both sides agree that it's bad. And I think right now we take in roughly 1.75 million legal immigrants a year. On another episode, I said I thought we should go to 2.5 million, maybe even 3. I don't know what the number is, but it shouldn't take 15 years for somebody to legally become a citizen in the United States. In my opinion, shouldn't take that amount of time. And we shouldn't. The system is unbalanced because let's say you come to America and you cross the border and you apply for citizenship and you follow all the laws. And the requirement is that every 6 months or every year, whatever it may be, you have to submit where you're living, your address, you have to show up for a court appointment, and you do that. You're complying with the system, but because you came here without complying with the system, you're the first one deported. So we punish the people currently who try to work within the system, and we reward the people who say, screw it, I'm going to stay outside the system and take my chances. Is there anybody out there that wants to argue with me that that means that things are mucked up? That we need to fix the process? Because I think we do. I don't know what the number is. It's above my pay grade. But we need to resolve this. It needs to go away as an issue for America. But simply saying, I'm seeking asylum is an excuse. I don't want everybody who wants to come to America to come to be in America. I just simply don't.
Especially if they hate America.
Well, that's one criteria. But some people who never have a chance to contribute, to succeed in America, and the opportunities to give back to the America that's willing to accept them, there should be some sort of quid pro quo potentially, in my view, that it's okay for us to say no. Stay in your own country, fix your own country's woes. Why should America just accept everybody? No other country in the world does.
So I think a good way to bring it all home would be, obviously immigration my lifetime has always been something, an issue, but never has it been more of an issue than during the Biden administration. So why do you think is the Biden administration's woes with illegal immigration? Is it intentional? Is it incompetency? Why hasn't it gotten so bad under the Biden administration?
Yeah, that's a great question. And here's how I would answer it. In the past, I thought that immigration issues were based more on incompetence. Under Biden, it appears to me that it's based on an agenda. And the numbers are overwhelming. Excuse me. No, I don't. I just for whatever reason, all of a sudden my sinus is plugged up. The numbers are overwhelming, and under Trump, the semblance of control and the start of a process was heartening to me. I thought it was the right thing to do what Donald Trump was doing. Stay in Mexico um, was great. You know, I forgot the phrases of some of the things, but if you were caught, you were deported right away. Yeah, catch and release, I think, is terrible. Absolutely terrible. You know, and oftentimes what I find so intriguing is that the left comes up with, and sometimes the right as well, these laws, these concepts, these ideas that they put into place, and they give the benefit of a doubt to desperate people or to people with ill intent who are inclined to take advantage of any opportunity that prevents them from being subjected to that very thoughtful legislation. And when we lower consequences and we have bad legislation, we magnify the result. And we have lowered consequences under Biden. We have magnified the results because people came pouring in. And I just want to know, for people that say, oh, you're being unfair, and oh, this is America and this is what we do. 50 million people. How many bad guys are okay? What's the criteria for being able to ignore the law? And why should those people be treated differently? Who suffers the consequences? You know, many of these people can pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to the drug cartels to get them here. But then American citizens have to pay for them to stay. What does America get out of it? So, yeah, it's I'm hopeful that President Trump um, starts to address this issue the evening of January 20th, after all the celebrations. It sounds to me like Tom is going to work very early on January 21st. And I know this, that if I get into politics, if I assume an office of responsibility, that I will work with Tom Homan in his department to enforce the laws of our country. And I will hold everybody accountable to that, because that's what makes America great. Doesn't mean I don't have empathy. Doesn't mean that there may not be a small percentage of workarounds. But the first thing to have a workaround that you have to do is enforce the law. And I'm looking forward to that. Well, thanks for joining me on another episode of Beyond the Echo. I appreciate you listening to my thoughts and experience with Tom Homan. We have lots of issues that are important that affect you. And we're going to continue to talk about those. I might add that my invitations to Dana Nessel and Gretchen Whitmer still go unanswered. And I believe we have an invitation out to Mike Duggan, which has gone unanswered. Love to have you on the show, and love to share your thoughts beyond the echo. Thanks. Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Echo. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop us a comment and share the podcast with your friends. Stay connected and keep the conversation going by following us on social media. Until next time, keep exploring beyond the echo.